This is the Scoop and Score, a channel that brings you all of your sports needs. Now, here's your host, Tyler Gray.
What's up, Scoop and Score family? This is your host, Tyler Gray, coming at you on a Thursday. So for this video, we're going to be doing a short little breakdown of the Cowboys' current roster, the depth chart we're going to be looking at specifically, and then going in, talking about that, and transitioning into one more mock draft for the week. You know, we're getting down close to D-Day, so to speak, draft day. It's coming up close, or it's coming up soon, sorry. It's only a few weeks away, so we really got to get down to the nitty-gritty. I know we're going to be doing a 4-round mock today specifically, but in the coming weeks, we're going to build up and then finally do that 7-round mock for the Cowboys, as well as an all-32 mock draft. All right, so let's go ahead and hop right in. We got the depth chart pulled up. Obviously, you got Dak Prescott. We're just going to go down the line here. You got Dak Prescott at quarterback. He's your starting quarterback, $40 million a year. I mean, what else do you need to know? All right, so next, this is going to be the tricky thing. I think probably an untalked about position moving forward. Now, yes, Cooper Rush came in against Minnesota this past year. Won, I believe it was 20-17. Drove them down the field. Got the winning touchdown pass on that Amari Cooper fade route. But, Will Grier, that's a prospect under the radar signing last year. Still a young guy out of West Virginia, where he played college ball. Still a young guy. A lot of arm talent. Can move around in the pocket pretty good. But he came out of college known for his arm. And then obviously, big old Ben DiNucci. Yeah, I don't see him making the team this upcoming season. We'll see if Mike McCarthy's project wants to be wasted on another year. But I just don't see it happening. Maybe they again, pick him up on the practice squad type of deal, but we'll see. I think they need to just move on from that guy. Nothing against him. He seems like a nice guy. Hard Knocks last season. He's got his hat company going, so that's maybe something he can fall back on. Maybe go play in, the XFL or something like that. Someone like him would be great in those leagues, but he's just not a starting caliber NFL quarterback, people. Nor is he a backup. Well, who knows? We'll see what happens, but I think there's going to be a nice little number 2 battle going on between Rush and Grier this upcoming year. Who knows? Maybe they bring in someone else. But that's it for the quarterbacks. All right, so running back. You can see how I kind of separated the starters. Okay, yeah, let me go over this real fast. So, separated the starters from the backups, this little space. All right. Right here for the running backs, though, specifically these 3 guys, they're all fullbacks. I'm going to just go ahead and group them up right here. We'll see if any fullbacks make the team. Ryan Nall, that's our newest signing, our 3rd outside free agent of the season. Ryan Nall came from the Chicago Bears. He was used mainly as a special teams guy. I think he might have played 60 offensive snaps. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that was the number. Then we got Siwo. Olu, I don't even want to try to pronounce it and mess it up, but Siwo, he showed promise in that Pittsburgh Steelers preseason game last year. He caught that pass, got a field, a dimension that we've kind of lacked lately from the fullback position. He can obviously play some special teams with that athleticism. And then we go to Nick Ralston. He's more your traditional, I'll say, bulldog type fullback who's just going to run up in there and try to be a lead blocker for things. Also would have to contribute on special teams. And then down here, these guys that are italicized, Corey Clement, these guys who are free agents, specifically Mitch Hyatt and Francis Bernard, they're restricted free agents. The other 4 guys, they're all going to be unrestricted free agents that are still technically on the roster. So maybe we bring somebody back like a Brent Urban while he's testing out his market, even though we're super late in free agency. Kind of see what the draft or how the draft goes. Maybe a guy like KZ comes back too, but takes, a step back and is a backup type of role. But I just want to list those guys. All right, so going to the running back position. This might be an unpopular opinion right now, but Ezekiel Elliott, he's still going to be your starting running back, people. $18 million a year. He's going to be the guy that goes out there first. Now, that being said, Tony Pollard needs to be like 1B, where Zeke's 1A. where they're both considered starting backs. You can interchange them. Obviously, I think there's a few different plays that you should be running with each one. I don't want Ezekiel Elliott necessarily running a seam route or something like that, where I think Tony Pollard can come in the game, you can motion him out into the slot, and you can run him up the seam. He has that wide receiver background from Memphis. I really wish we would utilize him in that way a little bit more. And that's something I'm going to be talking about here when we go to the next group again. But those two guys are going to be on your roster. Elliott's contract, Pollard, it's in his final year. Unfortunately, I don't see them bringing him back after this season. Just someone's going to go out there and overpay him. He's a running back. We're already overpaying one running back. We're not going to do two. Unless they somehow get out of Zeke's contract next year, which is a very big possibility. All right, so moving down to the backup guys. Rico Dowdle. He got hurt in the preseason last year. He was on our team the year before. Obviously playing behind Zeke and Pollard, he never really got too many carries, just maybe some garbage time stuff, play a little bit of special teams. But I think he's a good guy to have on your team. He did show some flash every now and then when he did get an opportunity. And as a third running back on your roster that can contribute on special teams, that's exactly what you're looking for. Now, I believe his first name is Jamichael or Jay, something like that, Hardy. He was a big star in Hard Knocks. Goggles is what I'd like to call him. He was your third running back on the team last year until they got Corey Clement in the middle of the season, just due to numbers. He's somebody, second-year guy. He went undrafted last season. You don't have a whole lot of, high hopes for him necessarily. He might make the team again if Dow gets injured or isn't coming back strong or something like that, but we'll see. All right, so moving on. A big position of talk right here. Wide receiver. This is the wide receiver room right here. These, what is that? 3, 5, 7 guys. Yeah, these 7 guys right here are all on the roster. CeeDee Lamb, year 3 Lamb. Should be better, especially flying in as the number 1 guy as of now. It's a big year for him. It's a real, make it or break year in terms of, we know he's good, but is he going to be like upper echelon, top 10 guy in the league? Because next offseason, they're going to have a decision to pick up his fifth year option. With him being drafted in the first round, that's going to be a decision that the front office is going to have to make. You got Michael Gallup, recently signed, coming off the ACL. I really do believe that contract, if Gallup can continue to improve, I don't think he's ever going to be a superstar necessarily, but if he can continue to improve and play consistently, I think that's a very good number that we got him at on his new contract. Just comparing other people around the league, such as like a Christian Kirk. I'd rather have a Michael Gallup on my team than Christian Kirk, even though I am an A&M alum. That's where he played, but Gallup can just do a little bit more. He can play outside. He's primarily an outside guy. But he can move inside. He's not one-dimensional. He's a good down-the-field threat going up and high-pointing the ball. That's going to lead us into our next guy, who I'm slotting in as the third guy on the depth chart right now at wide receiver. One of our other 3 outside free agent signings, James Washington, formerly of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Coming out of Oklahoma State, James Washington was a monster. He really was. He was a monster. Whenever he went to Pittsburgh, everybody thought, this guy's going to be big time in their offense. Ended up getting Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool the following year. And he kind of got, shoved aside. Now, maybe I'm a little biased. I think James Washington, depending on who else we bring into that wide receiver room, if we add another third guy, fourth guy where he's having to compete for playing time on the field, it might not be the case. But he could have his best year as a pro this next season. I could definitely see that. He's going to be a big-time down-the-field threat for Dak Prescott. That's what he's best at. Very similar to Michael Gallup. Very powerful player when you watch him, too. But he's going to be your number 3 receiver at the moment. We obviously re-signed Noah Brown as well. He's been with the team for a while, journeyman with the Cowboys. You can kind of know what to expect from Noah Brown. He's going to play some special teams. He might come in and give you, 5 big catches a year. Now, if it's a situation where Gallup's out for the first, say 3 games, and we're running Lamb, Washington, Noah Brown as your top 3 guys out there, I'm not going to be too confident in that. However, I think Noah Brown being that 5th, 6th guy, being a big body receiver, who honestly one of the main reasons why he's stuck on this team is because of the way he can block downfield. Next up, Simi Fahoko, 5th round pick out of Stanford last season. Didn't see the field much at all. I know he's inactive for a good part of the first part of the year, I believe, and they brought him up and traveled with him a little while. But he's a guy, there's some rumors floating around that Mike McCarthy told him to start bulking up because they're going to use him as a hybrid tight end receiver type of guy. Now, we'll know when we see it if that's true. However, I've been hearing a lot of good things. A lot of people talked very, fondly of him right after we drafted him, saying that was a steal. I've yet to see evidence of that, but I've yet to see evidence that he's not. First year guy, doesn't see the field much. Off season under his belt, we'll see what happens. And then T.J. Basher, Brandon Smith, they're filler guys for camp. In all honesty, I'd like to add, obviously one more guy in the draft at least, maybe another one as well through the draft, double up on receiver. I could see that being a possibility. Going out there and finding a free agent here after the draft is another possibility. We'll see. All right, so tight end. Dalton Schultz, he's on the franchise tag. Unless for some crazy reason they end up trading him, which is very, very unlikely, he's going to be playing on the tag. It looks like there's no long-term deal in place or that they're moving towards. I could be wrong. We'll see. Maybe that's something that they're working on. I really think he's a placeholder for maybe somebody that we draft here in the next few weeks. Now, I do like Schultz. He's a very solid guy, very solid player. It took him a few years to get going. Maybe that was developmental stuff for him, or maybe that was more playing time with Jarwin, and I forgot who else we had at that time too. I guess he was probably drafted right when Jason Witten was playing his last season. So I mean, you know what you're getting out of him. He might not have the same statistics as he did this past season, which were very good for him. Best of his career by far. He may not have those same numbers, but he's going to be Mr. Reliable for Dak Prescott. And out of the tight end, that's really what you're looking for, unless you have, one of the few game changers like a Kelsey or a Kittle or a Waller, or a Gronk in his prime or a Witten in his prime. He's never going to be that guy, but he's going to be a very solid pro for a long time, no matter who he's with. And then behind him, though, we got Sean Mckeon, or Mckeon, however you pronounce it. I've heard both ways. He was hurt for a good portion of last season. He's a young guy still. I see a lot of Dalton Schultz in him. We'll see how he continues to develop. We brought back Jeremy Sprinkle, who served primarily as a blocking tight end. Those two guys could definitely be cuts. Just don't know how this draft's going to play out, who else they might bring in. Then I know they sign, I think this is our third outside free agent signing, is Ian Bunting. So Ian Bunting, 6'7", young guy, real big guy. He's going to be obviously competing for a roster spot. I'm not sure how they're going to plan on using him if they do keep him around when final cut day rolls, but we'll see. All right, so now we're getting to the nitty gritty right here. These 5 positions, these are probably, or this offensive line group, this is probably, in my opinion, the biggest area of need for the team, at least on paper. Now, Tyron Smith, he had one of his worst games as a pro against the 49ers in a playoff game. He was obviously dinged up, hurt. As long as he's healthy, he's going to, contribute, but he's not going to be healthy, people. He's not going to be healthy all year round. We need to find a swing tackle, so that's where I'm going to move next to. I got Josh Ball penciled in right now as your second left tackle behind Tyron Smith. Now, we don't know a lot about Josh Ball. Drafted out of Marshall, had some character issues that we all heard of. But he was, he's moved to, I'm losing the word, but injured reserve. He's moved to injured reserve early on in the season. We didn't have him all year. I heard that he was able to start working out probably in the middle part of the season, so hopefully he did, because one of his biggest question marks was play strength, from what I heard from people. Now, if he got in the weight room, got stronger, he's an athletic guy. There might be people in house that know how Josh Ball's coming along, that us folks don't know about, and that could be a big blessing with him jumping in and being a very capable swing tackle, and maybe even possible fill-in for Tyron Smith if he's injured. Next, we got Isaac Alican, another fan favorite from last year's Hard Knocks, guy from the international program from Mexico. He's been with them a few years. We'll see how he's developed. I never thought he'd necessarily be a starting caliber offensive lineman. I personally think he'd probably be better suited at guard. So maybe that's something that they look at. And then behind him, we have Aviante Smith, which I penciled him on both sides with Alican and Ball, because that's what our tackle room looks like. It's not good. Now, if Smith and Steele stay healthy, they're your starters no matter what. But that tackle position is a very big question mark. And then an even bigger question mark moving on over the left guard spot. I don't have anybody in there as the current starter because I don't believe the coaching staff wants McGovern to be that guy. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're going to give him another opportunity, but they got to bring in somebody, whether that's in the first round, later in the draft, free agency. They got to bring someone in here to the left guard. Matt Farah behind McGovern. He's kind of a guard center flex player, drafted late last season out of Nebraska. When he played in that Eagles game, everybody talked about how well he did because you could see him down the field making blocks on their linebackers. But guys, I was against a lot of backups. We were up big already. I'm not going to take too much from that film, but yeah, you should see improvement. And then center, Tyler Biotish. He's your starting center right now. Unless we bring in somebody new, that's not going to change either. He'll be going on year 3. I'm really hoping if I could pick one player that could have just like a super big increase in performance, or just a young guy I'm talking about specifically that can just get better in a snap of a finger, I'd pick center Tyler Biotish, I believe. Now, some people might say, oh, maybe like a Jabril Cox coming off his ACL, or maybe a Kelvin Joseph, which Joseph would also probably be a nice player if I could choose one. But I think center Tyler Biotish, if he's able to make a drastic jump, then that could be a huge upgrade at the center position from what we've had since Travis Frederick has left. Behind him, Farah, we talked about him a minute ago. Braylon Jones is behind that guy. He's going to be a filler too to snap some balls during training camp. I believe he was on the roster, or he wasn't actually on the 53 roster, but he was on the practice squad last season. So maybe that's another situation for him. Right guard, don't got to talk about it. Zach Martin, all pro. Right tackle, Terrence Steele. That's who we're penciling in right now. Like I said, if him and Smith stay healthy, they're your 2 offensive tackles. All right, so we're done with offense. Let's try to speed through this defense so we can get to this mock draft. At defensive end, I got D-Law and Dorrance Armstrong as your starting DNs right now. Some people might say, I got a little spelling error, that Dante Fowler could come in and step in and start. I don't think that's going to be the case. I want Armstrong out there. He had 6.5 sacks last year, I believe. If he's getting, good playing time, I think he can be a very successful pro. He's gotten better every single year. He's got that peanut butter body going now. I think going on year 5 now, actually. As a matter of fact, that's crazy. But yeah, I think he's very solid against both the run and the pass. And, I don't think he's going to be a 10-plus sack guy a season type of player. But he might go out there and get you 8 or 9 this year if he's your, not every down, obviously, since they rotate. But if he's your starting right defensive end. D-Law, healthy, he's going to be your left defensive end. Then we got Dante Fowler, who I just mentioned. Second-year player, Chauncey Golston, who that's somebody else that I look at who can make a big jump coming up. And we got Terrell Basham, who's on the final year of his 2-year deal, who He played pretty solid last year for what you can get out of him. He's not a guy that I want starting out there. I think he's a little undersized in the run game. He really struggles. And then Brett Urban down here at Italicized. He's a free agent right now. We could bring him back coming off that triceps injury. I think losing him really hurt our run defense last season. Because he's a guy that can just win at the point of attack. He's not going to, blow past somebody, but he's going to, you know, basically squeeze the gap down and force, the running back or if there's a guard pulling or something like that to move around him. So moving on, defensive tackle. In my honest opinion, I think Neville Gallimore and Osa Digizua are your best case. Gallimore playing the one technique. Yeah, not quite as big as maybe you might want, but he's gotten a lot bigger, folks. When he came back after his wrist injury, he played fairly well in the limited snaps he got. Osa, he's going to be your two guy. He's going to have the weight room, the conditioning, the first offseason as a pro. I look at him to get much better. That's my hope. He played very well as a rookie. Very surprising what he did early on, especially. And then we brought back Carlos Watkins. He's going to be a solid player for you. He has been in the league for a little while now. You know what you're getting out of him. And Tristan Hill, former second round guy in the 2019 draft, where we traded that first round pick for Cooper the season before. He's on his last year of his deal. Who knows if they want to bring him back? Tristan Hill, not a very popular player within the Cowboys fan base, in my opinion. I'm personally higher than him, or higher on him than most. That's because I've seen quite a bit of good flashes from him. He's able to get upfield from that three tech position. Now, staying healthy, throwing that punch, doing stuff like that, that's all unnecessary. Obviously, you can't help the injury thing, but staying healthy, getting some reps, we'll see what we get out of him. Moving down, Bohanna in Kentucky last season, sixth round guy. He's just your traditional nose, big guy. We put him out on the field a little bit more towards the end of the year. Maybe this offseason he's gotten stronger and is able to go in there and do exactly what we need him to, which is just plug the gap. And Austin Fiolu, sorry. We traded our seventh round pick this season at the beginning of last year to the Texans for this guy. As well as Joshua or Josiah Bronson, those two guys, they could be cuts. We'll see how the depth chart shakes out there. But these five guys, really, with Bohanna, they'll all be there if I had to guess. Maybe they add one more, either in the draft or free agency. But moving on, linebacker. Parsons, you can fill him in on almost any position on this defensive side, and I'll be fine. Obviously, you don't want him playing corner, but I bet he could go out there and compete because that's how damn good of an athlete he is. I got Vander Esch of the second backer just because we know what we're going to get out of him. Unless he's injured or something. Cox is a question mark right now, which I'm a big fan of Jabril Cox from college. He's going to be, at least coming in, we thought he'd be more of the coverage specialist. He's the guy that went and laid that big hit on Daniel Jones by the goal line that knocked him out of the game. So maybe he's come back off that ACL. He's rehabbing. He's working hard. He could have a big time year coming in as a starter even. He's going to fill that Keanu Neal role, as Stephen Jones kind of mentioned. And we got Luke Gifford. We brought him back on a minimal deal. He's going to be your special teams guy. Fill in if someone's injured. And then Devontae Boyd, to be honest, I don't know a whole lot about him. He's probably not going to make your roster, though. We'll see. All right, DBs, corner, Diggs, Brown, Lewis, Joseph. I have them listed like that simply because that's how we ended the season. Now, Kelvin Joseph might be your starting corner in week one, opposite of Trayvon Diggs. In a perfect world, that's really what you want. Now, if he's not there developmental-wise, you got Anthony Brown that you can slide back out there. But this is a pretty solid group, in my opinion. Now, in terms of getting another DB out of the draft, I really think that the coach's mindset right now is this whole room, DBs, both corners and safeties, is pretty solidified. They're good with rolling with those guys week one. Now, if there's a player up there, say like a Derek Singletary, that falls for them, I'm not going to be mad about that pick. Who now from these four, though, we got Nashon Wright, third round guy last year, heavily criticized that pick, or the media did. We'll see kind of what we get out of him. He didn't play a whole lot. And Kyron Brown, probably not going to make your team. We'll see what happens. Safety, we got Curse, Hooker, Wilson. I listed all three of these guys as starters just because of that big nickel package that they like to run. You're going to see all three on the field very often. Curse, I think that was a good sign to bring him back on that 2-year deal that we got him for. If he can replicate what he did last year, that's fantastic. We'll see if he's able to do that. I think he really took a big stride in his professional career last season, and maybe just working with Dan Quinn's the perfect fit for him, and he's going to be your starting strong safety for the next few years. Hooker, Malik Hooker, formerly drafted in the first round by the Colts. I was very excited about the signing last season when they got him, really just because he showed so much promise his rookie year especially. And then he dealt with all those injuries. He was coming off the Achilles. They kind of throttled him at the beginning, middle of parts of the year, and then really at the end of last season, they started playing him a lot more, and you saw what he can do. He can fly around. He's got a burst to him. He's got range. He's got size. If he's able to play like he did at the end of last season and just build upon that and get back to where he was, that's a good combination. It's a very good combination. And we got Donovan Wilson, formerly of my alma mater, A&M. I believe he's going into his final year under contract. His opportunities haven't been what I thought they would be in his career. Now, he was a big-time playmaker for A&M. He's made a few plays for the Cowboys with his minimal snaps. I see him as more the utility guy in their minds leading up to the season, but if there's an injury, he can play in either spot, really, but I prefer him at the strong safety spot. So if Hooker gets hurt, we're going to need somebody that we can rely on playing, that back safety. And that's why I think maybe they bring back KZ on a minimal deal or add somebody late in the draft that they can kind of groom to do that. But then last but not least, this is a very important part of the team, which we all witnessed last season with Greg Zuerlein, but our special teams unit. I listed CJ Goodwin here, not under cornerback, because he's not going to play DB for you. He's going to be playing special teams, and he's super good at it. That's why he's been on the roster for all these years. Very good at his job. Very good at his job. Next, we got Mcquade, the long snapper. He's going to be on the team. And then we just re-signed our punter, Brian Anger. He was one of the best, I believe, Pro Bowl punter last season for us. First one we've had since the Aussie McBriar. And then I forgot to take this off, but Hunter Nicewander, he was our other punter who kicked for us, I believe, 2 seasons ago. They just cut him, matter of fact, so take him off his list. And then we got the kicker, Mr. Matt Nagger, I believe is his name. We'll see if he's our week 1 kicker. I think kicker's going to be a big competition during training camp. I wouldn't mind them drafting a guy such as a Cade York out of LSU or a Cameron Dicker out of UT or even the guy out of OU. But anyways, let's move out of this. We're going to pull on here. Do a 4-round mock. Get this thing going quick. Get this video out of the way. Got my dog barking right now. I don't know what he's barking at. Looks like somebody just showed up to my house that I'm probably going to have to cut this short for, unfortunately. Why is this going so slow? It's going slow. All right. We're going to draft Kenyon Green, then we're going to call it. Sorry, people. Calling it. But anyways, quick little video analysis of the whole depth chart. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you like the content, hit that subscribe button. Go down, comment. I'll comment back. Hit the like button. And if you want to be notified next time I drop a video or whenever I go live, hit that bell icon. Thank you guys. Take care.